So this is a story in the National Post. Rebel News employee loses court bid to halt quarantine order after covering Michigan Trump event. The Rebel employee's statements that he takes appropriate precautions are not sufficient in the context to show that he is not a risk to spread the virus. So that's a quote from the ruling. Let me just read the first line. A journalist for sorry, a journalist for far right. Oh, okay. Sorry, I just had the giggles. A journalist for far right news site Rebel. All right, let me try again. A journalist for far right news site Rebel News has lost a court challenge to the quarantine order he faced after crossing the border to cover one of President Donald Trump's campaign events. It was a rare legal test of the cabinet order that largely closed the Canada-U.S. frontier 8 months ago. Okay, stop right there. So that far right is what I'm laughing. That's so lame. It's got nothing to do with the story. It's obviously false. To see that in the National Post, which is also called far right, is embarrassing, really cringe. I wouldn't be surprised if the journalist did not write that and that was added by the conservatives in name only who edit that newspaper. It's very sad. And it's doubly ironic, consider the struggle sessions that the National Post has had to try and get rid of their star columnist, Rex Murphy. I mean, just a few months ago, they convened a town hall meeting, and the majority of the reporters at the National Post voted to fire Rex Murphy because he was far right or whatever. So you've got a newspaper at war with itself, a newspaper, a self-loathing conservative newspaper, and all these leftist millennial know-nothings trying to get rid of. Really, there's only two columnists worth reading there, am I right? There's Rex Murphy and Conrad Black. Am I missing anyone? So you've got all these know-nothing, no-name, churn them out, assembly line, leftist, woke, millennial journalists or Gen Z journalists from Ryerson. I got my degree in gender and peace studies from Ryerson, so I think Rex Murphy shouldn't be allowed to talk. So that's the National Post that's calling us far right. Maybe it was meant as a compliment. I mean, Rex Murphy and Conrad Black, both of them far right, are the best things about the National Post. They're hated by their own staff. Their own staff is trying to get rid of them. They're unionizing. They're trying to cancel culture their star columnists. It is a shitty newspaper other than Rex Murphy and Conrad Black. I'm sorry. I mean, we've got the website cancelthepost.com. Is there anyone other than Justin Trudeau who actually pays for that thing? I'm sorry. Sorry to be mean. Where's the lie? Where's the lie? So maybe it was actually a compliment calling us far right. Anyways, but you saw that last line I read. Can you put the back up on the screen just for 1 second? So they call us far right, which is a laugh. Okay, we've laughed about it for a minute. But look at that second line. It's a rare legal test. That's true. I think we're the only people in the country who have tested the quarantine law. Rare legal test of the cabinet order that largely closed the Canada-U.S. frontier 8 months ago. I'm not going to read any more of the story. It's actually a fairly accurate report other than that first part. Now, can you pull up the CBC story on this subject today? Because you saw that line there, it's really shut down travel. But look at this. This is just, was it this morning this was posted? Yeah, I think this went up before I am. Majority of travelers entering Canada during COVID-19 given okay to not quarantine. Experts say routine COVID-19 testing of millions of essential workers crossing border would mitigate risks. Okay, so hang on. The far-right National Post, or whatever you want to call it, the woke, let's fire our star journalists National Post, just said that travel is being really locked down. But the state broadcaster here says that millions of people get exemptions. Let's read a little bit from the state broadcaster. More than 5 million arrivals into Canada have been allowed to skip the 14-day quarantine requirement put in place when the country closed its borders to non-essential travel in late March. The data compiled by the CBSA, the request of CBC News, shows that's nice that they're working for the CBC. Shows that more than 80% of the 6.5 million total arrivals to Canada were exempt. The arrival numbers include repeat entries by the same person. Truck drivers alone accounted for close to half. I think that's absolutely legit for truck drivers. But yeah, that's enough of that. Thank you. But what irks me about the federal court ruling that I showed you is that the judge didn't say journalists are banned. Because journalists are actually bizarrely, and I don't know if it's accurate, are called essential services. They are. Beats me, eh? The judge said, yes, some journalists are so critically important, so absolutely essential, that they have to be given permission to go back and forth and back and forth, back and forth, back within 14 days. They're as important as truck drivers bringing food. You will starve without truck drivers bringing food, and we've got to get the CBC journalists here. They cannot quarantine. You will starve for Liberal talking points if we don't let them in. But you Rebel News reporters are not as important because you're not going back all the time, super spreader. You went once, and so you're not allowed to go. That's what irks me, and what you just saw there is 80% of people are just, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, just go ahead. Yeah, just go ahead. Just go. Oh, Rebel? Whoa, Rebel News. Now hold it right there, Rebel News. Now, you go to house arrest for 2 weeks, Rebel News. Now, I think a lot of people who got the exemptions, they say 80% of people were exempt, other 20% who weren't. What do you think the compliance rate was for staying in quarantine? Do you think half of people did? Or do you think they would have sneaked out here and there? Our people actually complied with the law. We actually fought it in court. I think we're the only people to have done so. That's an excerpt from my daily TV show that I do live at 12 noon Eastern Time. We talk about the news of the day, we play interesting viral videos, and most importantly, I take your questions that you chat to me through YouTube Super Chat. I think that's the funnest part of it. So tune in every weekday at 12 noon Eastern Time, only here at rebelnews.com.